Good morning YouTube. New project to start today is the conversion of this old Kettler pedal chain driven go-kart into an electric go-kart. The weather's not too great today, so it's a nice day to do it. It's not going to rain though, so that's the main thing. So we did attempt to do a few modifications to it a few weeks back. So we took off the pedals and attached to it a motor just to see what would happen, and it wasn't a good result. I won't go into it, but it was completely pointless, but it was a bit of fun. But we didn't change too much to not allow us to do what we want to do now, which is fix to it a 48 volt brushless motor. So roughly what I'm thinking of doing is removing the seat, building like a platform where it might stick out the back a little bit more, where we can mount the motor, speed controller and battery pack. There'll be maybe a foot pedal at the front. We'll take off some of this fairing. Some bits will stay, some bits will go, so I'm definitely thinking about keeping the handbrake. It's quite a simple brake, I don't really want to move that. We're definitely going to keep the steering rack and the steering wheel, and it will still be chain driven, although it won't be chain driven from the front, it'll be chain driven from the back. Not sure on gear ratios. We're just going to suck it and see. Stay tuned. Okay, so first step is got it up on the bench. It sits on the bench quite nicely, and we've taken off the seat, simply just 4 bolts, and we're going to probably reuse that seat bracket because it does fit on there perfectly. So what we've got to do now is figure out a way of building on here some kind of platform to be able to take the motor and batteries. So let's keep moving forward. Okay, next step. So far we've angle grind off the fairing there. I was going to take all this off to get the front end off, but I chose not to in the end, so just remove that. We've also disconnected the pedal cogs, which is also attached to the rear drive shaft on there. This part here is going to remain the same. I don't know how well that's going to work gear ratio wise, but it's not a very big cog there, so it's either going to be really fast, or the motor won't be able to turn it, so we'll see. We're also keeping the clutch, which is this pedal here, and when you open and close that, it disengages the motor or the drive shaft, which is handy should maybe you turn the motor off and it doesn't turn off. You've got like an emergency there to disengage the drive. This will be one-wheel drive, by the way. There's only one-wheel drive on this. And we're also going to keep the handbrake. It is a functioning brake. I don't want to make things too complicated, so we'll keep that as it is. So this is now our base, from which we're now going to build something to hold or re-hold the seat, and also all our mechanical and electricals at the back. Let's get on. Okay, so there we have chain removed from the original pedals at the front. Pedals are removed, and we're back to now what we want to use as our base frame. So we're now going to look at making a metal plate that sits on here, but I want to extend it a little bit just to give me a bit of space around the back, because we've got batteries, speed controller and a motor to go on there. Okay, stay tuned. Okie dokie. It's a plate we made up, which we're going to now get into position and measure up where the motor's going to go, the slot for the chain, maybe the batteries. We've got a bit more of an extension on the back. This isn't fixed yet, it's only a bit of 3mm plate. So now we're going to get the motor out, try and sort of line it in place roughly where things are going to go, and see if it's all going to fit. See you in a minute. Okie doke YouTubes. This is our metal plate we've had made. We didn't make, we made it ourselves out of some old scrap bits and bobs we had. Gives us an overhang of about 6 inches at the back. If you imagine the back of the go-kart did normally finish around about there. It's a bit more space there for batteries and stuff. We're not sure yet. So we've fitted the seat back in place. We've reused all the existing holes for the seat. As you can see there, the brake is still functional. And that's the rough position of the motor. Not 100% sure it's going to go left or wrong. We'll have to run the motor to find out the rotation of it, but you see there it sits quite nicely behind the seat. There'll be then a slot cut in here, which would then drive down underneath to our cog, which is there, and a short chain to drive the pair. And then in here maybe the speed controller, and I'll try and maybe seat the batteries on the back around here somewhere. It's quite a sturdy bit of metal plate. It will need fixing down at the front here as well, just to hold it in place, but yeah, it's sort of starting to come together now. What do you reckon, Will?
Yep.
Pretty good, isn't it? Okay, next bit. Okay then, we're moving on swiftly. That's the position of the motor now. Just sort of lined it in by eye, which doesn't look too bad, to be fair. You can see we cut a slot in the plate as well for the train to go through, and speed controller's on the floor there. I'm going to mount that somewhere. So let's get the motor bolted down. I think we can bolt it down now. Yeah, pretty sure we can. We'll bolt it all down, maybe get the chain measured up, and we'll go from there. Stay tuned. Okay, now we've got the motor bolted down. We've also fitted the speed controller, which is going to sit nicely under the seat like that, tucked out of the way. So we've now got our functioning brake, speed controller there, motor on a train drive to this cog here, which then gives us all this space here for batteries. So next thing we've got to do is, I guess, we've got to get some batteries and get a chain. See you in a bit. Okie doke, so this is now installation of the foot plate on the front. The idea of that is around here somewhere. I'm going to install the accelerator. So all I've done is just self tap it underside, and then I'll put some big bolts through from the other side, because I want to screw it down to the main chassis if I can. And then I don't know what then. I'm just making it up as I go along. See you in a minute. Okie doke. That's my foot plate now installed. Needs a bit of deburring, it's a bit sharp around the edges, but I'll probably just round them off, because you can guarantee one of the kids will cut themselves. But I've put a couple of M8 bolts in there, so it is secure to the chassis. Now the next bit I'll be doing is fitting this foot pedal. So I'm going to probably cut a slot out in there, drop it in, and then just fix it to the foot plate, and that will then be it outside of pulling the cables in, zip tying it up, and chucking on some batteries, which I don't have yet. So I want to get into a position today where all I've got to do is mount some batteries, or get a battery pack and mount it. So let's crack on. It's getting a bit dark and cold and it looks like it's going to rain. See you in a minute. Okie doke, there's my accelerator pedal fitted. Cable just comes out below on the switch, you see there. I just angle grinded the slot out of there so that it's sat kind of flush, and then I'll run the cable somehow back to the wiring loom off the speed controller. So all I'm going to do now while I've got the angle grinder out is just round off these edges and deburr it a little bit, and then we're pretty much done. Seats in place, motors in place, speed controllers in place, accelerator, clutch. Just show you the clutch. So the way the clutch works is quite a simple clutch. You see there the rear gear, which I still think is a bit small, but I've cut that slot big enough so I can potentially increase it. But basically the lever on the front there is just connected to this rod, and when you move it in and out it just pushes the cog back on the spring, which releases it from the wheel, and then it can re-engage again like that. You get the idea anyway. All this is a cog on a spring, and it just disconnects like that, or sits off the drive cog so it doesn't drive the motors. So this is more of a safety thing more than anything, because I don't know, should the motor not stop, I guess, when it turns off, then it can just pull the clutch and pull the brake and it will slow down. Okay, let's get the foot plate rounded off and we will call it a day in a minute. Okay, there we go, nice and tidy, all deburred, kiddie safe, ready for the track. So I'll go online and get some ideas on battery packs, something that's going to sit on here. 48 volts I need. This is a 1800 watt motor, so I need a fairly meaty battery, and it needs to last as well. I need something that's going to go for, you know, at least an hour non-stop. So yeah, that's that, ready to rock, almost. See you in 5 hours or days maybe, because thinking delivery on a battery like that's going to take a while. It won't be long. Okay, YouTubes, we have got ourselves into the garage because it is raining out there a little bit, so it's best to do this in the dry. Messing around with batteries and electrics, it's always a good idea. So battery setup, we've got now our 4 12 volt 7 amp hours, I think, yeah, 7 amp hour batteries. So that gives us in series our 48 volts. And just so if any of you are doing this now, before I tried to test the motor with a couple of 18 volt DeWalt batteries, it needs 48 volts. You can't test it without anything but. So don't make that mistake thinking there was something wrong with it where there isn't. It just wasn't enough voltage. So you do need to have 48 volts. These are brand new batteries, they're fully charged. I tested them as I was putting in series. Some of the wiring on this is a little bit different because the color codes don't match up with the wiring diagram, but I've managed to figure out what's what. So there we have our 48 volts in series, so positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative. Then the 2 terminals off the mains power plug, which is that one there. The black one sends 48 volts into the controller, and then all the other plugs you don't really need other than that throttle pedal, which is this one here. So we've connected the throttle pedal. Sorry about the mess. I'm just doing this for test purposes. I will tie it all in eventually. And then you've got your so throttle pedal and your switch. So I think there's a wiring diagram that said orange and yellow. It's not orange and yellow on this, it's actually red and yellow. I haven't got a switch, so for this I'm just using just a little jumper, which I will put in there for you now the best I can on camera. Watch your pinkies. So that's in there. That's my switch. So if you imagine, I've clicked switch live, so that will now send voltage down to the controller and back to the motor. Brilliant. So I will need to maybe gear that down, or put some kind of stopper on the back of that pedal, because the gear ratio that I've got, if I've worked it out right, this kart, it won't do it because it hasn't got the torque, but it would potentially be able to go about 45, maybe 50 miles an hour, which is dangerous. So I will do something. I think there is a speed limiter on this somewhere. I'll look at the wiring on that as well. But this is the basic makeup, so you can see now what I was trying to do with the shelf on the back. These batteries fit fairly nicely like that, but I might turn them sideways 90 degrees so that they sit together in twos as opposed to a bank of four. And then once I've figured that out and made my mind up, I am then going to try and refit the rear engine cover, which goes on the back, if you like that. And I'll try my best to try and bodge this up so it covers it nice and neatly. There might be some bits and bobs on show, but just to finish it off tidy. Also got to round off these corners on there. Should have done that before with the angle grinder out, but I didn't, so I will do that. And I'm still waiting for my 8-tooth half-inch pitch sprocket or sprocket grit gear for the motor, because as I said before, the original drive gear on the back of the Kettler, I've kept it, and that is your standard sort of bike chain, where these motors don't come with that kind of gear. It's a slightly different pitch, it doesn't fit very well, so to save slippage I've ordered a different sprocket gear for the end of the shaft there. That's why it's not on there, I've removed it. So that's all we're waiting for now. I've got the chain, I've got the chain brake tool, and I can't think of anything else I need to do, but I think I'm pretty much there. It's a shame I haven't got it set up. It would have been nice to see it moving, but stay tuned. I think that sprocket gear is going to take a couple of weeks to come, but I'm in no rush. This is my final COVID project, and I want to make it a good one. So stay tuned. You don't need to stay tuned because this video will just carry on. It will take a few weeks to come, but I'm not going to put 2 videos out. It's me 1 video, so you just carry on watching what you're watching now. See you later. Okay, YouTubers, we're back with another update on the Kettler electric go-kart. You're probably watching this in one go, so it's instant for you, but I've had to wait for approximately 2 weeks for a part. Now, just so you remember what the issue was initially with the motor, came this sprocket, which is the wrong tooth pitch for a standard bike chain, which is called a 410 or a half-inch pitch chain. I'm not sure what the 410 means, but I'll put a link in the description below for anyone that's looking to do this, and the part that you need to carry out the modification to the motor if you're going to continue using a bike chain. I'm not sure what this is, as in what chain would normally go with this. Maybe it's a different type of high tensile chain, maybe a motorbike chain, not 100% sure, but I found online the part that I needed. I'll chuck that in there, which was this sprocket, which is the 410 8-tooth half-inch sprocket, and I managed to find one that has the same keyed dimensions as the shaft on my motor. So it simply then just slides on there, spring washer with a left hand thread nut to hold it on. Oh, like that. So now that we've done that and we've got the sprocket, I've then gone ahead and measured up the chain roughly, or the best you can do, because it's a small chain. There's not a lot of give, so we may have to move this, but I did cut slots that hold that motor in place, so it can, I think, move forward and backwards to suit the length of the chain within a degree or so. It's not a huge amount, but enough, because bearing in mind these links are about a 1/2 inch link, so you can only get so accurate, and I think as it is now it's a tad bit long, but it's good enough for me to be able to test the motor and give it its first bench test anyway with the chain on. So I'm going to go ahead now, put the chain on to the drive shaft of the motor and the attach it to the drive of the go-kart, and that's where we are. So yeah, fingers crossed it'll all work and we can then carry on with the build, because the next thing we've got to do after do that is somehow fix the batteries. I'll probably just bungee the batteries to the back of the go-kart for now, or maybe put a ratchet strap on there just for test purposes, but that will need some kind of fixing put in there to hold that down, but that's not a big deal, we'll do that. And yeah, stay tuned in a bit. Okie doke, there we have it. The chain is in place. And those of you who are wondering, oh, how are you going to take that? I'll put that on because you've put the chain back together. I didn't think of that either, so when I was doing that, I then realised you had to take off the wheel to slide the chain on over the sprocket on the drive shaft to then loop it onto the motor. But no big deal, it comes off quite simple. We won't go into that. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to bench test it, check the wheels go round. I've already checked the rotation, which is wrong, but it works in reverse, which is slower anyway, which is what I want to start with. There is a way of rewiring the phases on this motor so that it will spin the other way when the accelerator is pressed at full speed, but I'm happy to just test it in reverse. All I really want to know is if the chain comes out, because looking at that, to me, I would tell you that's as fairly in line. However, there is a bit of play in the drive shaft at the back there. Whether that's going to affect it with a small chain like that, I don't know. So let's get the batteries hooked up and give it a spin. See you in a minute. Okie doke. So batteries are wired up. Tested, I've got my 48 volts. They're pretty much brand new, and I've not done a lot with them, so they're fully charged. And this is my first bench test with the chain. I'm doing it live because whatever happens, I guess you might as well catch it on film. So I've moved all the cables out of the way. I don't want anything to catch. Obviously this isn't how it's going to look when it's driving. I'm just doing this for testing purposes. It is in forward drive, so, but the accelerator has got its own potentiometer, so it will, if I just press it a little bit, it will spin. So let's have a look. I'll try and get the best angle I can, which I think is going to be there, and I've got the pedal on my hand. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. A bit more, hang on. Okay, that's low speed. Alright, that's as fast as I'm willing to go at the moment, because I've already noticed a few issues and I'm going to tie them off. But as far as the bench test is concerned, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to get, just for now, I'm going to get a ratchet strap down the batteries, and we'll take it for a spin. Well, I've got to put it in reverse first because the wheel's going backwards, so we'll put it in reverse and take it for a spin, which is just a case of putting a jumper cable across the reverse switch. I haven't got a switch, but a cable will do fine. Okay, catch you in a minute. Okay, there we go. This is my temporary measure for the battery compartment. It's just a ratchet strap, and they're on there solid, they're going nowhere. I've put in the reverse link, which is that one there. You just link it out. It's just supposed to be a switch that goes on it, but I haven't got one. But that now means that the wheels go forward. It's still quite fast, but I don't know, we'll have to see how it goes. So the next video will be our first road test. I'm going to tie the cables up, chuck them under the seat, and see if it works. See you in a minute. Okie doke, we're ready for our first live test. He's been briefed up on how to drive it. All I've got to do is connect the power and he's away. We've not tested it on the road yet, so he's going to go nice and slow, and this will tell us how torquey the motor is. You happy, Will? Yep. I tested it myself, but I've got my work clothes on. Alright, so you're the next best thing. You feeling safe? Yep. Remember, lever at the front, disengage the motor, tiny little tap on the motor, don't go any harder on it, and you've got your handbrake there. Worst case, just jump out of it, alright? Just let it go. Right, let me just connect the battery up. Oh dear. I will get like a proper switch or something, so we can switch the battery on and off. But for now, we're just gonna connect it up like that. All right, Will. Just don't worry about the cables trailing behind you. All right. Right, keep still. Don't go anywhere yet. Keep your foot off the pedal. Okay. Now, wait. Okay. Now, very slowly. Okay. Whoa! Slow! Stop! Fucking hell. I don't think it crashed. Slow! 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 Alright, stop there, Will. Stop there. Stop! I think that's good. Okay, just...
It's class.
Yeah?
On another go.
Right, just go, don't go racing off down there, because if something fell off it, you'll be dead. And I can't be bothered with that. Alright, ready? Go ahead. Cool, that chain sounds a bit ropey. It was some of the cogs that fell off there. Okay, steady on, Will, steady on. He's got a helmet on, so cool. That's the brake. Slow, Will. Stop! Stop! Alright, we've got a few adjustments, so that's a positive test. Well done. Yeah, it's because of I've got to trim up a bit of that as well. Alright, well done.
It's amazing. Go, one more go.
Wait a minute, I need to do some bits. See you in a bit. Okay, so pretty good test. I've had a go on it myself, and it seems to carry my weight, so it's a very torquey motor. He's going to come down there and one of the batteries is going to fall off now. Oh no. That's it, yeah, good. The batteries are running out. No, keep going all the way in. Stop now. Stop. Take your foot off the pedal.
I want to have one more go.
No, Will, because you can hear the chain grinding. I don't want to break the chain.
It's not the chain, it's this.
It's not. It's when you drove off there.
One more.
No.
I was only grinding back there because I was going like...
Don't go
stop.
down the bumps. Turn around. Don't go turn right. Just turn around in that big circle there. You can turn around, all right? Go on in. Stop now. Don't waste the battery. I need the batteries. All right?
Yep.
See you in a bit. Okay, so that was a successful test. Everything works. Nothing fell apart. It's a bit noisy, but that was running in reverse, by the way, so it only really has one speed. It's not very fast, but that's how I wanted it. I'm going to play around with it now, put on some fairing, tart it up a little bit, sort of switches out, make it a bit more safe, and go from there. One of the issues we did find was when you do full lock on the steering, the wheel hits this plate, so I'm going to grind a bit of that out so we get a full lock on the steering. Other than that, it was success. So thanks for watching. I'm not going to do any more of this video because all it's going to be now is just me tarting it up, but you get the gist of what I'm doing and how I've done it. So I hope this has been a good informative video for anyone watching or thinking of doing something like this. It's good crack and you learn something. So how bad can it be? Although it's not very safe. Be safe. Yeah, don't go doing this if you don't know what you're doing, or you're you know, thinking about other stuff. Just, yeah, be careful. I don't want any lawsuits saying, oh, Stuart said do this. I didn't say do anything. I'm just saying it can be done. All right. You don't have to subscribe, but like to my videos. I like to get the thumbs up, and comment in below if you want to ask any questions, and I'll put as many links in below for everything that I've used to build this, including costs, so you can see for yourself. It's not worth it. You probably go and buy a go-kart 10 times cheaper than what this cost me in time, effort, and just brain power. But it was something to do during COVID project 5, I think. Yeah, so you probably won't see me on the next one because I think I've had enough of YouTube now, and I go on to doing bigger, better things like going back to work. See you in a bit. Okie doke, so I knew I wasn't going to do another update video on this one, but I thought I'd just show you where we are now. Just been messing around with it this weekend. So I fitted a little boot lid, which is the other half of the fairing that came off the original kettler, and that just lifts up, exposing the batteries. So when I need to charge it, because I haven't got a 48 volt charger, so I need to charge the batteries in parallel off a 12 volt charger. I've tidied up my little strap there. All the cables are nice and tidy away, and we can also expose all of that should I need to get to the motor for any reason. It's all there, all zip tied away. Seems to drive alright. It's still in reverse. I'll never put it in the other way round because it's way too fast. So that still clips down nice on the original seat clips. Little switch for power. That needs to be screwed down a bit more, so when I finish with it, that just turns it on and off, and it's fused as well. Don't know why. It's the only switch I had, because that will never blow, but it's just a way of turning the go-kart off. I've also ground these little notches at the corner of the foot plate so that you can get full lock on the steering wheel, and I think that's it. That's all we've done. So it's finished. I mean, it's as complete's going to be. Will was saying maybe get some barbecue spray paint and give it a spray so it's matte black and it looks super good. I'll leave that to him. Thought about putting a seatbelt on. We had some bungee cord we were going to use, but it was too dangerous, to be honest. It's easier if they just fall out of it, because at least if they fell out of it while it's running, the chances of it landing on top of them whilst being strapped in, because there's no roll cage, better as far as I'm concerned. So that's your lot. See you later.